Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kurt Locker. Today I am diving into a product review that has really changed the way that I do training at my home gym. I'd like to introduce you to the OVR Velocity, which is a compact, lightweight sensor that you can implement into your gym to give you real-time feedback on the actual metrics of how you're lifting. Little stitch here from the editing desk. I reached out to the owner of the company, and the company is pronounced OVR. So whenever you hear me say over or any other version of that, that's wrong. It's OVR. Full disclosure, OVR Performance sent me the velocity sensor as well as some swag and the roller magnet for free in exchange for the review on my website and on the channel. I do not earn any commissions for purchases made. I don't get any cash bonuses. I don't get any sort of money. I literally just got the equipment for free. Well, what we have is the OVR Velocity. It is a tool that has magnets on the bottom, and it has a string that comes out and connects to your barbell. The string is about 10 feet long, making it usable for basically any lift that I can think of, and connects to the bar and measures the velocity per set, both the concentric and eccentric portions of the lift. It gathers metrics on bar speed, velocity, distance traveled, wattage. It also captures all that data and translates it back to an application that could be downloaded onto any sort of smart device. I have tested the OVR Connect app on both Android and iOS platforms, and it's essentially the exact same user experience from one platform to the other. Additionally, there's a cloud-based storage that takes all of your data and it actually stores it in the cloud. So let's say that you have an Android and an iPhone, or whatever your device situation might be. You can log into your profile on both of those devices, and it doesn't matter which one you use because the data is stored to the cloud and not to the device itself. The app is really critical to use when using the velocity sensor because the app is where all the algorithms are as far as calculating your fatigue percentage, calculating 1 rep max, 3 rep max. Those types of data are only available if you use the app. However, you can use the sensor just by itself because if we pull on it, you can see it does actually display the speed in real time for each and every single repetition. Now there's two ways in which it works. One way is you place the device and you basically, this is what you have to do every time. You strap it to a plate. So I like to use like an old 5-pound plate. I just put it on the plate, set it on the ground. At that point you have the strap or the string which is connected to one of two different attachment points. You have first off the roller magnet, which is right here. The roller magnet is what it sounds like. Basically, it's a magnet on a shackle, and what it does is it evenly rolls across your barbell. The advantage to using the roller magnet, which does not come stock with it, this is like $10 extra, and is worth it in my opinion, is that when you connect it to the barbell, if the barbell sleeve rotates at all, it doesn't wind up on the barbell sleeve because that roller magnet always keeps the attachment point at the lowest point. That's going to help even out your data later. If you don't want to opt for that, you also have the standard Velcro strap. Now the Velcro strap can either Velcro around the sleeve, and it can go all the way up to those 2-inch Olympic sleeves without issue, or you can, in certain lifts, actually attach it to the shaft on the inside of where the plates are, like where you would hang onto the bar. And if you have the space to do that, so for instance, I like to do that during the deadlift, it makes it to where you don't have to reattach the sensor every single time you move it around. Now, there's a lot of other velocity sensors that are out there, but where the OVR Velocity really shines is really inside of the application. Now, the application itself has the capabilities to define all sorts of different lifts, so you can edit the amount of lifts that are in here. You can add custom lifts. For instance, I added the push press and added the icon for the push press, and then you can track your push press velocity over time. If you wanted to actually use the unit, what you would do is you would go over here to lift, which is the center icon at the bottom. Then you would hit whatever lift that you're planning on doing. In this case, we're going to choose the push press, and it automatically knows that at one point it was connected to this particular device. You then tap on that and it brings it up, and now we are connected and ready to go. So you can enter in how much weight is on the bar. You can also enter in the velocity goal or whatever you might be lifting that day. Now this is recording, and so I'm not going to be pulling on it because I don't want it to mess with my data right now. But there's also a sandbox mode, so I'm going to go into sandbox mode right now, which doesn't record anything. This is useful if you just want to mess around to get used to the device. And I'm going to say 10 pounds for the sake of saying 10 pounds. And then if I come over here and I have the device right here and I pull on it, you can see that it tracks each and every single rep one at a time. That looks really weird, but so there you go. At that point, you can either hit new set if you're gonna like progressively go up. So for me, if I'm doing like a squat or something, I will start at 45 pounds at the bar and I'll log that velocity. Basically what this forces me to do is really focus on that explosiveness. Or you can hit end set, and at that point you've ended the set. Now with sandbox mode, it doesn't save anything, so you don't get the metrics. Now the coolest part about the application, and really where it shines, is the algorithm that's built into it. So right now I'm displaying data based on my last push press session that I did with the OVR Velocity. Now I did have to delete a portion at one point because I had unintentionally toggled on eccentric mode. So you can see eccentric mode right there. I had toggled that on by accident, not understanding what that was for. And during eccentric mode, it only tracks the velocity of the eccentric portion of the lift. And as it turns out, I have a very consistent eccentric portion of the lift, regardless of the actual weight for push press, which is cool, but it kind of messed up my data. So I came back in here and like 2 days later did another push press session, and you'll actually see that it doesn't have an estimated 1 rep max for my push press, even though it's pretty good data. And then you can see in here that the data is all in there. And one of the things that I really like about this is you can see like 45 pounds by 7, 95 by 6, 135 by 5, 185 by 4, 225, 245, 255, and 265. And I actually left one of the data points in here incorrect just to bring you guys through this. So every once in a while, it will log something that actually isn't a lift, especially if there's like a jerk or anything to it. So like during the push press, you dip and then you drive. So if you just come in here, you can actually edit out so you can see the range of motion. If we look here, it says 9.9 inches. That's obviously not a rep. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna select that and I'm going to trash that set. And now we have a little bit more reliable data as far as that lift win. So now it's just basing it off of that single repetition up at 265 pounds. Now, if we come in here and we choose a different number, so we have my back squat. So in the back squat session, this is based off of a single session of data. You can see that we have all of my warm-up sets, and all of my work sets going all the way up to, and I actually managed to do 465, which was an all-time PR for me on this day, which was very cool. But we see that it actually estimates my 1 rep max at 441. But if we look in at the data, if you look at the average velocity of 0.23, it's very, very obvious that I was very fatigued on that particular set. So that's how the app works, and it's free to use. The OVR team doesn't plan on charging for the use of this application, which is gold. Because one of the really cool parts about this is it's going to track how you're doing over time, and that's where the real value comes in as far as the OVR suite of tools. Now, like I talked about before, one of the coolest parts about using this sensor is how it really gamifies your lifts. More often than I care to admit, I find that when I'm actually training by myself, I might kind of sandbag a workout. Maybe I didn't sleep that good, maybe I didn't do that well, and there's nobody else in the gym. So unless I'm recording something for the gram, there's really nothing that motivates me to perform at my maximum velocity or my best speed. But what I find is that by using this, I'm actually very intrigued because I do have this addiction with getting stronger. And this really helps me get raw data, because there's how you feel and then there's how you perform. But if you train by yourself, it's really hard to get that realistic feedback on how you're performing if you don't have, the video or the data. And even when you watch or take that video, a lot of the times you're going to put your own biases into how you performed. So what I like about having the OVR Velocity is that it gives me that third-party perspective, that real and very honest look at how I'm actually doing, which is what I want in the first place in a training partner. And so what I find is that by using the OVR Velocity, that I am actually treating it kind of like a coach or kind of like a training partner, which helps me really push myself. And I think it's going to translate into a lot of unrealized gains that I probably had. Now, I do have some general pros and cons. So one of the pros is that the data that it collects, it's real time, and it's immediately actionable. You can see how you're performing, and you can actually adjust your workouts based on how you're performing in that moment. It also tracks your progress over time, and it's going to help you get a really good idea about like how you're performing on that day. Because as you collect all this data over time, the application and the algorithm that they've built within the tool is going to actually help you get a better idea of your strength numbers and where you're at. It's also going to help you with your daily readiness. I also love that there's no hidden storage fee. So like the application, I'm logged onto it on an iPhone right now, but I also have an Android upstairs, a tablet, and I can log into it on the tablet and I can see the exact same data. So I love that cloud storage, and that is a massive benefit that I don't think a lot of people actually realize exists out there. It's logging into a cloud and it's using the data on the cloud, not the data on the device. And I also love how compact, light, easy to use that it is. Mine came with a carrying case, which is nice. It's like a neoprene style carrying case, and it's just such an easy tool to use. Some of the things I'm really excited to use it for is for some Henny movements. I'm excited to break this out with my Henny attachment and see if I can't track some of my progress over time with the Henny system. Some of the cons that I found is that you need to remember to attach the string. So I made a face palm movement the other day. I was outside in the gym doing a bench press workout, and I was using the magnet. The magnet really is great, but I set a bench press PR at 315 pounds, which I know is really not that impressive to people that actually bench press, but for me, that was a big deal. I'm a strong man. I don't typically bench all that much. But on that set, I even pressed record on the phone because you can overlay the video through the application and it'll overlay the video with your metrics. But I forgot to record it. So because the data wasn't recorded with the set, I have the video of the lift, but I really wanted to know how I did. Now, obviously watching the video was a maximal effort set, but it still would have been really cool to have the data. The other cool part about that is that before I did that set, it actually estimated my 1 rep max was at 310 pounds, but 310 pounds wasn't going to be a PR for me, so I loaded 315 like any logical ego lifter would do, and I managed to squeak out the set, although my butt raises, so all you powerlifting types will probably super critique me. One other thing that I noticed is that the roller magnet is great for almost every single lift. The only one that I found that it doesn't perform well on is actually on the deadlift. So on the deadlift, the heavier it gets, the more violent the bar hits the floor. Even if I try to lower it, I'm not like gently placing it. I'm not doing like beautiful little touch and goes. I generally control the bar down, but I don't, it's more of just riding the bar down. The bar hits the ground so violently that the roller magnet actually disconnects from the barbell. And that's where I find that using the strap comes in handy. So I still keep the strap attached to here. And what I've actually found, because I'm a big lazy head, is that you can leave both the roller magnet and the strap attached, and they don't interfere with the operation one or the other. There is a little clip you can use to disconnect one or the other, and I'll disconnect the strap, for instance, if I can get it. So I've disconnected the strap now, so just the magnet is left attached to the string. But you can leave them both on there. So just during the deadlift, you need to remember to probably use the strap so that it doesn't come disconnected so you don't lose that data. I've also found that you can actually leave the strap loose. So if you're going to put it on the sleeve and you're worried about the sleeve winding up the strap and the string, which gives you some false readings as far as distance traveled and velocity, etc., you can actually just leave it kind of loose on the sleeve. And as long as it's placed directly below where it's attached, you won't have any issues with it slipping off. And then the last thing, which is not unique to the OVR Velocity at all, is that this unit weighs about 400 grams. It's 3x3 by like 2 3/4 and in inches. And it you don't want to smash it. It's made out of plastic, so you got to be able to place it somewhere where if you fail the lift, it's not going to pancake this. Similar to like in Mario Kart when someone uses lightning and then runs you over. So to summarize my review, the OVR Velocity is a very, very easy tool to use. The Bluetooth connection to the phones is well thought out. It doesn't automatically connect. You connect it from the application to the device, not the device to the application. If you've ever been one of those people that fights with the Bluetooth speakers, you try to connect it back to your phone because somebody else hooked up to the Bluetooth speaker. None of that stuff is at play here, which is really convenient because another one of the cons is that there's no coaching profile set up through the Overperformance app. So if you have other people that come in and they want to use it, the easiest thing to have them do is to actually download the Overperformance app, create an account, and then they can pair to it. But again, it's very easy to pair to because it just happens as a part of your workout setup in the actual app. But everything is super well refined. If you don't want to use it with the app, there is an always on display that's there. It counts your rest timer for you. It has your meters per second, maximum, your average, your wattage. It has all the data that you probably didn't even realize that you wanted while you were lifting, and it does it at a pretty affordable price. Coming in at $249, it is on the bottom end range of the price point when it comes to velocity trackers. Now, I've used other velocity trackers and I've had frustrations with almost all of them that I have used. This one has been the best end user experience. It gives you real actionable data. It gives you it in real time and it stores it so that you can access it at a later point. So that's been it for my OVR Velocity review. I hope that this has helped you get an idea of what this can do for you in your training. If you have any questions, drop them below and I will definitely get back to you. That's been it for this one, and I will see you guys next week.